Black America. John Lewis here again with X Known, and I'd like to welcome you to episode 8 of XCast, Voices of the Unforgotten. And today we're going to be talking about Uncle Tom, the most misunderstood man in American history. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. There are words people use like shortcuts, two syllables that skip the work of thinking. Uncle Tom has become one of those shortcuts. It's thrown at black people like a final judgment. Traitor, sellout, weak, desperate to please white people. But here's the problem. Most people have never met Uncle Tom. Not the original one. They've met a fake version. In 1851, a story began appearing in newspapers in Washington, D.C. It was written by Harriet Beecher Stowe, and it wasn't written just to entertain people. It was written to apply moral pressure. It was meant to make Northern readers feel the weight of slavery and push them to resist the fugitive slave law of 1850. When the full book came out in March 1852, it exploded across the country, selling hundreds of thousands of copies in its first year. That's where Uncle Tom was born. And in that original story, Uncle Tom is not a collaborator. He is not a clown, and he is not a symbol of shame. He is a man who refuses to betray other enslaved people, even when the price is his own life. Through historical records and preserved texts, we know how his story ends. Tom is beaten to death after refusing to reveal the location of two runaway women. That refusal is the backbone of his character. So how did a man with that ending become an insult, meaning the opposite? Because the novel didn't stay a book. It became a stage product. It became touring entertainment. It became a money-making machine. And it got absorbed into an entertainment culture that was already using blackface and racial stereotypes. Through research and early performances, we know that stage versions mix serious drama with comedy, music, exaggerated characters, and even altered endings. Because copyright laws were weak, traveling groups performed Tom shows everywhere, often changing the story however they wanted. This is where the theft happened. The story was taken from the page, changed for profit, and sold back to the public as if it were the real thing. For decades after its release, stage productions often exaggerated and distorted the characters. White actors played black roles in blackface. Serious scenes became comedy. Complex characters became stereotypes. So the culture split the character in two. Book Tom, strong, morally firm, willing to die rather than betray. Stage Tom, exaggerated, softened, built to entertain and comfort audiences. That's the distortion. And here's the confrontational part. If you grew up using Uncle Tom as an insult, you inherited an image shaped inside the same racist entertainment system that built minstrel stereotypes. You're repeating something that came from distortion, not truth. But the story goes even deeper. The insult didn't only spread through white audiences, it became powerful inside black political language too. Through research into early 1900 political debates, scholars show that young black leaders began criticizing older strategies. Uncle Tom became a way to accuse someone of not being loyal enough or not being strong enough against racism. It became a word used to question someone's authenticity. It became a tool to say, "You're not really one of us." That's why the insult stuck. Because it does social work. It marks someone as disloyal. It ends debate. Modern dictionaries define Uncle Tom as a black person who is overly eager to win white approval or who accepts white authority without question. But that definition does not match the man in the original story. That meaning was built from the stage version, sharpened by political fights and normalized into everyday speech. You're not calling someone Uncle Tom because you carefully studied the book. You're using it to accuse someone of betrayal. And when you do that, you are using the name of a man who died refusing to betray anyone. Now think about that. The label hits hard because it's not just an insult. It's a verdict about identity. Psychologists explain that stigma reduces a whole person into a single negative label. Once someone is labeled, people stop debating their ideas. They just repeat the name. That's what Uncle Tom does. It shuts down conversations. Social identity research shows that when group conflict rises, people focus more on group loyalty than individual complexity. Under pressure, boundaries get tighter. People start policing who belongs. That's how words like this survive. Research on acting white accusations shows something similar. When someone is accused of not being authentically black, it can cause deep emotional harm, especially when the accusation comes from inside the community. That's the same pattern. You're not one of us. You betrayed us. That's why it hurts. But here's the truth we have to face. Novel Tom refused to give up fugitives. Novel Tom endured torture. Novel Tom died rather than betray. Stage Tom was reshaped for entertainment. Stage Tom was exaggerated. Stage Tom was turned into a stereotype. Modern Uncle Tom became a word used to question loyalty. That's not just a change in meaning. That's a complete reversal. A martyr turned into a traitor. Through preserved letters and historical documents, we know the original author defended the truth of her portrayal. She gathered real-life accounts to show slavery's brutality was not exaggerated. The receipts are in the ending. The receipts are in the refusal. The receipts are in the beating. Through museum research, we also know that minstrel-style performances kept spreading distorted versions of the story long after the book's release. These performances shaped how generations understood the character. That's the pipeline. Book, stage distortion, political weapon, everyday insult. So here's the direct request. Stop calling people Uncle Tom. If you mean collaborator, say collaborator. If you mean complicit, say complicit. If you mean someone is supporting harm, say that. But don't keep using a word built from a distorted version of a man who stood firm under violence. Because every time you say it, you repeat the lie. And worse, you teach the next generation that a man who died protecting others represents betrayal. That's a sickness. So let's rip that up. Oppression doesn't just hurt people. It rewrites symbols. It flips meanings. It steals names. And freedom begins when you take those names back. Uncle Tom, the original Uncle Tom, is not the most shameful black man in American imagination. He is one of the most misunderstood. A character created to move readers against slavery. A man who refused to betray. A story twisted by entertainment. A name turned into a weapon. We can stop that today. And if someone asks you why you don't use that insult anymore, tell them the truth. I don't call martyrs traitors. That's how we end the slander. So go to xknown.com right now. Read the mission statement. And go to the Share the Knowledge page. Copy and repost that link. Because it's on us to share it. Because they won't. I'm going to say that again. Go to xknown.com right now. Read the mission statement. Look at the Share the Knowledge page. Copy and repost that link. Because it's on us to share it. Because they won't. This is Xknown. For the people they tried to erase. For the people they tried to distort. For the people they tried to turn into warnings.